Hello everyone and welcome to Old Timey Comics, where we head back into the past of superhero comics to check out all the good, the bad, and the absolutely ridiculous. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Today's issue comes from September of 1963 as we take a look at the first issue of the Uncanny X-Men and their debut in the world of Marvel Comics. The cover is normal enough, with the X-Men in pitched combat with this issue's villain Magneto, though Marvel Girl is suffering from old comic heroine syndrome, stuck in the back, not doing much of anything. Wait a minute, does Angel have a freaking rocket launcher? I know covers always lie, but this series would be much darker if they just blew up all the evil mutants with RPGs. Once that shock is processed, the comic opens with an outdoor shot on the Charles Xavier School for the Gifted, as Professor Xavier himself telepathically summons the X-Men to his side. The teen heroes respond to his summons, showcasing their unique powers. Angel flies in from overhead, Beast swings in through the window, which is odd because it looks like it's been drawn closed. Iceman slides down a pole made of ice that doesn't connect to anything, and there's no hole in the ceiling, so I guess he can teleport too? And poor Cyclops runs in lagging behind since his power is the only one that doesn't facilitate transportation. The team goes about making the professor more comfortable as he orders them into the training machine for their lessons. The whole training montage is made nice and cheesy by Professor Xavier constantly barking orders at them telepathically, like, "Do this in 1.5 seconds," or "You have exactly 3 seconds to complete this task." Just a little bit over the top. We now get the obligatory team power showcase, starting with Beast's agility and reflexes, spinning on a wire, jumping through hoops, and balancing on a pole and defying physics as it slackens. Next up is Angel, who flies an obstacle course avoiding fire jets, crushing machinery, and some sort of death trap referred to as the Spanner. Apparently, this is the first time he's flown through it without incident, so how are his wings not already a mangled, broken mess? The professor tells Iceman that he gets free time, as being the youngest of the group, there are no tests for him. Ever the clown, Iceman dresses himself to look like a snowman. However, the whole thing turns out to be a trap, as Professor X tells Beast to throw a bowling ball at Iceman. What? Dude, that's at least 14 pounds! To fly straight, that's at bone-breaking velocities! Luckily, Iceman creates a small ramp to redirect the ball, and we're gonna go with it because it'd take too long to try and calculate the physics on that impact. Finally, Cyclops is up, and rather than fight robots or do some kind of accuracy test, he's told to treat his fellow X-Men as adversaries and turns his power beam on them, so I'm still convinced the professor's out to get his students killed. The other three are unable to defend themselves and are completely ineffective at taking Cyclops down when they should be able to beat him by just surrounding him. Beast alone is physically stronger than he is, plus Iceman being able to freeze him. I know we want to show the team's field leader as the strongest, but this just feels lazy. Professor Xavier calls the sparring session to a halt as he senses a taxi dropping off a new student who has just enrolled. The professor makes it a point to inform the boys that it's a female student before sending them off to change into their civvies. Jean Grey introduces herself as the professor immediately lets her in on the secret of the X-Men and the true purpose of the Academy. He also tells her why he named the team such. The X in X-Men stands for extra power. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. Jean's now introduced to the rest of the team. Hank McCoy, aka Beast, whose feet have magically shrunk to fit into a normal-sized pair of shoes. Bobby Drake, aka Iceman. Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. And Warren Worthington III, aka Angel. Everyone is informed that Miss Grey will be taking the name of Marvel Girl. How come Bobby, the youngest of the team, gets to be Ice Man instead of Ice Boy, but Jean's stuck with Marvel Girl instead of Marvel Woman, regardless of how either one of those sounds? Of course, the others want to know what Jean's power is, with Warren suggesting that it's the power to make men's hearts beat faster. I think I'm gonna be sick. Jean proceeds to demonstrate her telekinetic abilities, nearly running Hank down with a chair as she rips it from Scott's hands. Hank suddenly gets a bit handsy, acting like a lovesick gorilla or his bestial namesake. His mild-mannered scientist personality and tendency to use extra long words hasn't quite set in yet. Thankfully, Jean gives Hank a quick spin cycle to let him know she's not going to tolerate that. Professor X interrupts the tomfoolery to remind everyone of their true goal to protect humanity from evil mutants that could strike at any moment. We conveniently skip over to one of these evil mutants, Magneto, the Master of Magnetism, as he plots some diabolical scheme. Focusing his power on a nearby missile site, Magneto causes the failure of a rocket test by sending the missile careening out of control. The papers report that this is the 6th missile that's been sabotaged this way. And the X-Men haven't acted on this yet. Why exactly? His need to punk the military not yet satisfied, Magneto continues to sabotage their equipment before writing them a threatening letter out of dust particles. How many iron shavings have to be scattered around the base for him to be able to do that? Because last I checked, dirt isn't magnetic. But besides that, would you just look at that penmanship? Or dustmanship? Magnetism ship? Whatever, point is Magneto could make a killing in advertising just sitting around floating messages above stadiums and public places. Magneto channels his powers into some kind of enhancer we'll likely never see again, and takes control of an even larger missile. He doesn't just pull the missile out of the silo, his power is actually activated as it takes off without any kind of launch order. His threats ignored, Magneto simply marches his way into the base, tossing aside anyone that gets in his way before trapping them all by somehow making a fully tangible barrier of magnetic force. Back with the X-Men, Jean admires the suit that Professor Xavier apparently already had prepared for her as the boys peep from around the corner, because that's okay. On top of that, I'm still creeped out trying to figure out how Xavier even got her measurements to prepare this suit before she ever arrived. Worst of all, that is one of the ugliest couches I have ever seen. Absolutely terrifying. The professor finally gets around to informing the team of Magneto's takeover of the military base. Maybe he took so long because he was distracted by Jean as well? Nope. Forget I said that. Just give me a minute to scrub that thought out of my brain while the rest of the team suits up. Uniforms of note include Iceman, who simply covers himself in snow before putting on just a pair of boots. I know you want to break it up so he's not just a human-shaped white blob, but this looks even sillier. Meanwhile, Angel takes off his shirt to reveal the harness that binds and hides his wings. My questions are twofold. Why does he bother hiding his wings when he's at the school, given that everyone's aware of his powers, and how does he go about getting that skin-tight uniform on around a giant pair of wings? The team heads out, and their transportation is surprisingly mundane in a spoiled rich kid sense. They ride out in the professor's Rolls Royce and charter a private jet that Xavier can somehow guide telepathically from the ground. Back to the military base as the army tries and fails to break through another physical magnetic barrier. The X-Men barge onto the scene in the rudest way possible. Iceman chills soldiers and freezes their equipment, Angel buzzes the tower so to speak, Beast plays a game of leapfrog, and Marvel Girl tosses them aside like dolls. You've already demonstrated everyone's powers, no need to torture soldiers to drive the point home. So far, they're no different to the public than Magneto. Cyclops is the last to arrive, since using his powers like everyone else would likely kill or at least knock out the soldiers. Instead, he gets to work dismantling Magneto's barrier. As he puts it, his power beam acts as a natural counterbalance to the unnatural magnetic field. What? I don't even know where to begin to try and make sense out of that statement. Magneto is left momentarily stunned by the disruption of his barrier and sends a fleet of the base's interceptor missiles to destroy the X-Men. I could insert a rant on using heat-seeking missiles on human targets, but instead I'll just link you over to Fantastic Four #1 that has a similar situation, just with air-to-air missiles instead. And on that note, interceptors are designed to intercept incoming missile threats, so they're definitely not being used for their intended purpose here. The missiles all chase after Angel, and dang they have impressive turning capability given the speed they should be going at and the lack of any auxiliary thrusters to facilitate a sharp turn like that. Iceman helps out by throwing some ice grenades. Just as Hunter missiles are attracted to heat, the ice grenades are attracted to the missile's speed. Seriously, that's word for word. I could not make any of this up if I tried. This leaves one missile chasing Angel as Beast swings up to catch it with his feet before Marvel Girl takes it off his hands, dropping it into the water. Seriously, check out Fantastic Four #1 because apparently this is just standard superhero procedure for disposing of missiles, no matter how much physics says otherwise. With the immediate threat taken care of, Angel attempts to rush Magneto only to be met with a face full of magnetic debris. Luckily, Cyclops is on hand to break him loose. Apparently out of options, Magneto sets a tank of rocket fuel that's just laying around on fire before sending it to meet our heroes. Iceman acts fast, making a barrier of ice around the team just before the tank impacts. Now, there's no reference for size, but that explosion looks huge. How is Magneto not caught up in that? As he tries to sneak away, he's caught off guard as Cyclops' power beam bursts through the rubble. Now, can we just take a second to appreciate Magneto's beady-eyed look of surprise? Can someone drop a better quality version of that face? That'd be absolutely hilarious and you'd be my favorite person until the end of time. Once he recovers his composure, Magneto decides to cut his losses and levitates himself out of there, giving the X-Men their first victory, even if it's a bittersweet one. Things wrap up as the base's commander thanks the team for their service, and they fly back to campus with the congratulations of creepy floating cloud head Professor X. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to show your support, or check out Old Timey Comics on Patreon to truly help the show to grow. Have a character or story you'd like to see covered in an episode? Let me know in the comments. If you want to check out these stories for yourself, you can purchase them digitally or subscribe to Marvel Unlimited. Stay tuned for the next episode of Old Timey Comics.